On Tuesday, it was announced by the police of Israel that the current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, on their recommendation, should be charged with bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. This is another blow to the reputation of one of the most horrible Israelis that has ever existed. Concluding a year-long graft investigation, the police recommend that Mr. Netanyahu face prosecution in 2 corruption cases: a gifts for favor affair known as Case 1000, and a second scandal dubbed Case 2000, in which Mr. Netanyahu is suspected of backroom dealings with Arnon Moses, a publisher of the daily Yediot Aharonot, to ensure more favorable coverage. According to the police, expensive cigars, jewelry, and pink champagne flowed into the Prime Minister's official Jerusalem residence in quantities sufficient to stock a small cocktail lounge. The generous patrons also included Arnon Milchan, the Israeli movie producer, and James Packer, an Australian billionaire. In all, the Israeli police say that Netanyahu received up to $300,000 in gifts over a 10-year period. Now, immediately following this announcement, Benjamin Netanyahu did take to the media to discuss the matter. "I feel a deep obligation to continue to lead Israel in a way that will ensure our future. You know, I do everything with only one thing in mind, the good of the country. Not for cigars from a friend, not for media coverage, not for anything. Only for the good of the state. Nothing has made me deviate or will make me deviate from this sacred mission." It's very clear that if these accusations are true, and they seem like they very much well are, this would make him unfit for public office. But we do have to consider that this is probably what has made him so successful as a politician. Now, keep in mind that he is on his consecutive 3rd term since 2009, and it'll be his 4th term since 1990. Taking these gifts, working with the elite inside of Israel, essentially what he's accused of, bribing media outlets to give him good coverage, is probably what has bolstered his political career so much in the face of all the evil that he's actually responsible for. Now, it's interesting that this is what's being considered a crime, bribery, corruption, but not the illegal settlements that he's built, not the times that he's called for the killings of Palestinians, which would constitute a hate crime by any sane person's metric. He's not being put on trial for the war crimes that have been carried out against Palestinians, like outright declaring wars, which are essentially just one-sided slaughters. But none of that is enough to raise the concern of the Israeli police. None of that is enough to raise the concern of the Israeli people. As far as they're concerned, that's just everyday business. That kind of racism, that kind of carrying out that kind of genocide is just part of Israel being what it is. But if he's somehow corrupt in his doing things that are even more evil than what he's accused of, well, that's just, frankly, going too far in their eyes. And I do think this comes at a very interesting time when the relationship between the United States and Israel is at a point where there's a greater awareness of the crimes of Israel, that now the United States is complicit in the carrying out of. Just look at what happened with Jerusalem al-Quds, suddenly declaring, Donald Trump declaring that Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel, when that's a very hotly contested issue, and the international, not just Palestinian, but international condemnation that came out as a result of that. That's been a real black mark on Israel. Now this comes on top of that. The reputation of Netanyahu internationally now is taking a severe hit, and it's been taking some for quite time. Surely but surely the world is actually catching up on the crimes that are being committed by the Israeli government against the Palestinian people, which is wholeheartedly endorsed by the Israeli people themselves. But it's so interesting to see that the actual human rights violations are not considered a problem. But if you're corrupt in doing that, then all of a sudden you've gone too far. I think that says something very significant about the state of Israeli politics and the state of the international community's view of Israeli politics.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.